We're on a mission to talk to the 100 leading marketing minds in the automotive space. I'm Andrew Street, owner of Dealer OMG.
Matthew Davis here. Why are we doing this? Well, we like automotive, we like marketers, and we like retail automotive marketers. Our goal here is to give you the insights into what these leading marketers are thinking, planning, and doing.
Most dealers are only looking at their marketing from inside of their store, where today's guests that we're talking to look at the dealership's marketing across thousands of stores. We've got Ashley Cavazos and Shaun Kniffin. They're former dealer side marketing directors who now work with marketing leaders nationwide through NCM Associates. They see what works, what breaks, and what people are repeating over and over that are mistakes. We're talking about leadership, branding, 20 groups, and why not every marketing problem can be solved in a spreadsheet. This is 100 Marketers Project. I'm Andrew Street. Enjoy this conversation with Ashley and Shaun. It is really a pleasure to be sitting down with both of you guys. And I know you both have had a lot of experience working as a marketing director on the dealership side, like with dealer groups. Is there a common thing that you feel like people underestimate about being a marketing director at a dealer group?
Niff, take it away. We'll get to Ashley. So Ashley, want to hear? You get to go after Niff.
I'll let Ashley go first.
All right.
I think for Niff and I have very similar backgrounds, which is why I think we hit it off so well. For us, like when it comes to being a marketing director, we're like wearing many hats, as I'm sure y'all have heard on this project you've been working on, but it's not just marketing, right? It's like, oh, wait, you know, technology, can you help with IT? Oh, wait, you understand how the phones work. So let's work with our phone systems. And you understand leads. Can you help with lead handling? And eventually this role encompasses like marketing director, CTO, BDC director. And at the end of the day, you're all still one person, right? But it's great because the positive to that is you have influence on so many different departments as well. So it is a little bit of a headache sometimes, but at the end of the day, you're also like, wait, hold on, these are the departments, these are the people I can influence and how I can help them out versus just marketing in that aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and empower them to help you.
Well, I think the other thing too is that in my digital groups, we're always telling them to be operational, meaning that, you know, because you have an impact on the organization, you're not siloed, you're coming into this thing and everything you do has an impact downstream from the decisions you make. And as BDC internet sales managers, sometimes they have to be aware of what's happening upstream from them, which is the marketing piece. So that's sometimes why you see them wearing dual hats. They'll be marketing directors. They may start off as internet sales managers and then become marketing directors. But the idea is they understand the whole operation because it all affects the bottom line. It affects the financial statement, the variable selling gross, cost per sale, cost per lead, things like that. We all understand those metrics. And now that AI is being introduced to a lot of this, a lot of marketing directors are feeling very overwhelmed because AI is so broad-based in the dealerships that the DPs and the GMs are asking like, well, what do you know about all of this and how can we affect our groups? And NCM has started some AI 20 groups, but they're complete operational understandings. What we're doing in our digital groups is we're bringing AI into this with our good friends at Reunion Marketing, and we're creating AI workshops because they're specific to marketing. And we've already had one of those and it went 4.5 hours and we didn't even get to see the end of the runway. There was so much to talk about. So I think that's another thing too. But I think the underestimation of all this is that your marketing teams can impact the entire organization, and they tend to accept the honor of helping a dealer out. I remember talking to John Malshenko after I left, and he told me, he said, pay me a massive compliment. He says, Niff, he says, I never had to worry about you because you had the autonomy to do what you needed to do. you had great relationships with the GMs, you knew what they needed, and if you didn't have an answer to something, you'd go figure it out. And that's the kind of autonomy that most marketing directors can appreciate, because they get things done underneath that. They're not going to be operating underneath the thumb of someone. They just want to be able to go get things done. But I think the underestimation of that is that the roles that Ashley and played in these dealer group environments is we did everything, and we had to be friends with everybody, and we had partners to help us get this thing done. And if we didn't know how to get it done, we knew who to call.
That's right. So both of you have run marketing at dealerships, and now you're both at NCM and Associates, like just absolutely one of the best organizations, especially when they got David Kane. They were good before that too. When you're putting that marketing director hat back on, what was it that was different when you went from just thinking about yourself and your one store, your one group with those kind of like almost blinders on, to when you were sitting down with 20 others? Ashley, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm the newest to the team, right? So it's been, oh my gosh, we're still less than 2 months into this role. So I'm still like acclimating over. But what I'm really excited about is taking all of that knowledge, right? I've been in automotive retail for almost 16 years now. And so being able to take all of this experience and, like you said, Matt, like sit in a room with, your dealer clients, with your 20 groups, and help them, kind of guide them in piecing together the puzzle and sharing that knowledge that, we've been fortunate to have. I've been fortunate to, as Kniff said, like having marketers think operationally. Like I've been fortunate to be on the variable ops side of things, to be on that team. And so just being able to guide our clients through that, I'm excited to stretch that reach of connecting. Like my favorite thing is connecting people together, right? That might help each other in some facet. So whether it's helping another dealer connect with, a dealer that's piloting that's already gone through the aches and pains of, launching something new. And it's like, hey, maybe you should talk to Kniff, right? Because Kniff has worked on converting, his data into CDP, like whatever dealer clients you can, but also technology. I love staying ahead of technology and seeing what's going on with our partners, our vendor partners. Like we had a great call earlier today with a new buzzword AI tool that's coming out, but being able to see how that can help, our clients out there and helping them get ahead of things, because gratefully NCM has a vast network of clients and dealers that are accessible to them that may not have the network that we've been fortunate to have, like being able to know you guys, right? Not everybody knows Matthew and Andrew. So just feel really fortunate and excited to be able to connect people with each other to find the solution they're looking for.
Yeah, I would only add to that a little bit more than, we do get to see a lot of the emerging tech, which is cool. But one of the things that I think benefits us is that when we go into dealership environments, or we go into an OEM environment where dealers are present, because we've been dealers for so long, other dealers tend to pay attention to that. They go, "Oh, you're one of us." Like, yeah, I've lived your pain, and we work on those bank holidays, and we worked weekends, and we were always on call. So it creates a level of relatability that I think is that dealers have come to appreciate. But I think when Ashley and I first started talking about this, we sort of reached that same point in our careers where we're like, and it's funny because I don't know if you know, but on LinkedIn I have a thing, I'm hiring. I'm trying to build the team, and the next one behind Ashley is who we're recruiting for right now. And I've had some great conversations with people who are sort of experiencing that same thing. They're like, I've done the dealership thing, but I really want to figure out what's next. Like, how can I go impact the industry as a whole? Because when you're tethered to a dealer, that's fine. And we have a responsibility to that dealer, and we always pay homage to that. But when you're ready to go to that next level where you said, what can I do for the industry? That's a whole different feeling than it is when you're, just working for a dealer group.
Different mindset, different motion, different everything.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, and it feels like it can be a graduation too in your career, from one phase of working in it, in the trenches, getting a ton of skills, to like finding a way to start giving back to the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
being very relating to like, oh my gosh, I've been exactly there. Like in my observation from working with tons of marketing directors, it was a lot of times like the IT person that would set up the new laptops and desktops and get people plugged in with the CRM and show them how to use it. Then they were like, okay, digital's becoming more and more important, and I don't speak this language. Can the IT person who gets computers be the marketing person? Was a lot of the role. And now it's kind of pushing back to like, okay, marketing person that we hired with these marketing skill sets and overseeing and managing vendors. Can you help with some of the IT stuff? And now it sounds like a lot of the marketing directors are being positioned as the person to bring the AI to the table when we're figuring out our next move.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of that. I know when I was in the role of marketing and technology director, I had everything from procurement to IT support, network support, phone support. I mean, it all relates, right? Marketing and technology tend to just go together, you know, because you had technology on the website. It's true. You had chat and, you know, obviously you had to make sure CRM was working and things like that. But marketing and tech are definitely joined and married together.
Well, and then you add in the other piece of that puzzle, which is data, right? And analytics, because a lot of people think marketing is, oh, well, you're just talking with your third parties and making sure we're in marketplace and,
put some paid ads out there, just sprinkle some social media.
Yeah, you almost need a degree in automotive analytics in itself, right? Beyond Google Analytics and everything else that plays into that. So then you also become the data person of figuring out, what does everything look like? What does the ROI look like? How are we falling in, when we're looking at our gross to net to spend and everything, and that falls into that. I don't know how many times I've sat in meetings where, we're all creating a spreadsheet and we've got like columns all the way to double Z, if not more. Right. And we're that person working through and trying to piece together that story of, what is the data telling us without having data analysis paralysis.
Do all of that, and then the clock resets to 0 at the start of every single month.
Yeah. 0 to 0. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we've been really trying to implement with our digital 20 groups is the fact that because of these AI workshops and David Steinberg said it best from Four Eyes. He said, AI came to lunch and clean data was on the menu. And a lot of dealers don't realize that yet, but we're trying to propagate that message throughout the industry, saying, look, you've got to have clean data because AI works best when it's working with accuracy.
And with all Ashley, are you going into 20 groups yet and moderating?
So
is that what you're going to be doing?
Yeah. So I'll be moderating, I'll be training and consulting in dealerships. And then I'm also in the process of getting certified to teach at the Institute. So a lot of exciting things happening, but we did work on I'm really excited. Kniff and I are kicking off a brand new 20 group. It's 20M4 for marketing leaders and content strategists. So I was fortunate to meet Kniff as a founding group member of 20M3, which was the first marketing director 20 group at NCM. And we've learned a lot in the 2.5 years that we've had that group. And it's very data heavy, right? As we're talking about data. And so what we'd like to do is now branch off into 20M4, which is really focused on branding, content, what is your strategy? Like bring your ideas, bring a campaign you're building to the group and let's discuss it, right? Like let's have a think tank of actually talking through your strategy together as well. I mean, obviously you're still going to have some data in there. That's not, that's never not going to be a thing, but we want to be really focused on, somebody who has an internal agency or they're a CMO. If you're a content manager, director, right, this would be the 20 group for you, talking about AI and how is that going to play a role into building your content as well.
Kniff, what are the problems that you see showing up across almost every single group, regardless of market, when it comes to marketing?
Well, the landscape has changed. I mean, I think one of the best studies that we've seen so far this year has come from our friends at Clairvoy and Cox Automotive, where they were talking about the attribution. They were also talking about the fact that I think a lot of dealers are starting to realize that they can't hide behind their SEO anymore, because the customers are now shopping the experience, not necessarily the brand. The bots are doing the shopping for them, but customers are literally typing into the chat engines now and saying, hey, what's it really like to buy a car from this dealer? Yeah, you did it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of dealers are starting to realize, like, oh my gosh, my dealer rater pages are relevant. I haven't touched them in 10 years. What's being said about me on things like Reddit, and how are the Google profiles? But that is what's really starting to show its face now, and dealers are being caught off guard a little bit by that, by like the fact that, and what is the GEO asking for? We always laugh, like AIO, GEO, BINGO.
I like REO Speedwagon.
REO.
I like it.
But I think that's the thing that people are starting to realize is like, oh my gosh, I can't just say that I'm the best. My customers need to say that I'm the best. And so we're helping dealers understand that, because it takes a lot of heavy lifting. And that's one reason why we felt like M4, it was a good time for M4, because those groups that have internal marketing teams are probably got a little bit of an edge against those who are probably just using agencies. Now, I will say my days at Germain, I was blessed because I had an agency that worked with partners. So like my agency worked with you all, but they also worked with our our CDP team. So you need to get partners working together when it comes to that kind of stuff. But that's probably the one thing that's really become quite apparent is you better make sure your customers are having a good experience, because you just can't say we're the best. You got to be the best.
Yeah, go into OpenAI or Gronk or any AI platform, right? And ask them, I'm looking for an X, brand, whatever your dealership is. I'm looking for a Ford. What's the best dealership in my area I should buy from? And like, see what it says, right? And see where you are in that mix. And I think you'll learn very quickly, what you might need to work on, or maybe you're doing great and you are, the first answer that comes up, but also look at your analytics. And we did a really cool practice of this in that Marketing Director 20 group last month in Savannah, where Ron Zimmerman from Raritan walked the whole group through how to set up your group channel for AI. And you can see what your visits to your site look like coming from different AI platforms. And it's very eye-opening, which, I had started tracking that in my time at Demontron, and I had started to see over the last 6 months that, I was getting more visits through the AI platforms. But I think those are, two kind of takeaways that I'd love anybody who's listening or watching to go search yourself in AI and see where your dealership falls in, and then check to see what your visits look like in your analytics platform and see how that's increased over the past few months.
I got a question for you guys. How do you feel like AI is going to impact social media when it comes to dealers? Because we hear a lot of it the other way, but how's it affecting you all?
From my experience right now, it's been accelerating the amount of content we can get up. And it's writing great copywriting, better than we've hired like the best journalism students from University of Iowa, somewhere where they have a good journalism school. And for AI just to understand what our dealers need and be able to create content's been really impressive. Mm-hmm. Looking at data too, and just being able to quickly tell the narrative of what we're finding and make suggestions based on what's performing well, what's not performing well, what ad set, what creative looks the best. And what I'm experimenting with right now is the speed to lead. So as soon, because like all of the dealerships we've worked with, there's a bad taste in their mouth, it seems like, with Facebook leads. So we've gone through two-factor authentication and just doing it to people who visited the website, asking them additional questions like, do you have a trade-in, where they have to manually put in stuff. But what we're finding is we can move that conversion rate to an appointment from 1% to maybe 8%, which is moving, but it's still kind of like disheartening for a lot of people in the BDC. So now I'm like looking at just like, can we take a lot of automation and be able to message people through SMS, through email, through voice calls? And I'd be curious to hear what you guys are hearing with this stuff too, to help get that lead closer to becoming an appointment, or make the appointment for the dealer without them having to get their sleeves rolled up with their BDC or their salespeople, even worse.
Yeah, I know that's something fellow vendor 20 group, Stella, has been working on, and they've got some stuff that does that type of thing. It doesn't help you so much, Andrew, but definitely, well, maybe it would if you're working with the dealers.
Yeah,
Anyway.
set me up. And what are you guys seeing? Like with like the dealerships that are seeing the most impact from using AI, there's so many different directions to go with it, with data, with responders, with just popping up in AI platforms. Like, what dealers are seeing the biggest impact, or like, not which dealers, but what are they doing that's making the biggest impact with AI, you think?
Well, I'll speak first on this one. I think what dealers are starting to experience, and we've actually had to modify our mystery shop process a little bit too, because our mystery shop process only measured the first email response. And we said we need to put a measurement on the second one, which is actually the dealer. So dealers now are becoming aware, like, oh my goodness. And I think long-term follow-up using AI is becoming a little repetitive, and it doesn't really create any sort of opportunities to add creativity to it, because it's still the same message. Are you still interested? Are you still in the market? Do you want to test drive? And it doesn't mix it up a little bit. So what we try to train our dealers on is like, go to AI and find something about that vehicle that the customer inquired on and send it to them in a separate string via text or even possibly email, but send them something that they didn't expect, right? Create some value in the fact that you're trying to help them land their next vehicle. So I think that's a big part of what we're trying to get dealers to do, is use AI for its creative content that goes beyond just what an AI templated email response goes out. Because I think that's working fine, but until AI catches up with what the customer experience is, what they're going through, I think we're going to have this repetitiveness that customers won't find value in. But I also think you got to be fast to the market now too. Not to mention Dave Steinberg's 4 Eyes report from earlier this year. He had 8 million leads surveyed over 6 months. The closing time now has gone from 59% last year to now leads are closing 72% of the time in 3 days. I mean, it's really becoming compressed.
That's fast. I mean, and is it AI that has helped driving that, the efficiencies, or is it something else?
I don't know if it's necessarily AI, but I think if you do what we teach, which is a phone call within 1 to 2 minutes, then an email, then a text or email, text, phone, then a text message, then email, I think you have a better chance of engaging with the customer if you get them on the phone within 1 to 2 minutes, which creates a higher engagement rate, which creates a higher closing rate. And a lot of dealers are still texting first or emailing first, and they're getting caught up in all that follow-up from all the other dealers, and they're not effectively able to connect with the customer. But believe it or not, the phone call within 1 to 2 minutes is probably one of the best engagement tools that is out there in the marketplace. And we see the data, and it indicates like you're going to close more business if you can just get the customer on the phone, use email to communicate the details, use text to send the video walk around, and get the customer engaged. Create a really quality shopping experience, and I think people will continue to do more business that way.
Well, if you can get that phone call, because what you'll also get pushback on your sales team on sometimes is like, well, we call and they don't answer, right? Like they're not answering phone numbers they don't recognize. But the key is, and I think this is a piece that I've seen, over the years and in these mystery shops and dealerships we've been in over the past few weeks, is a salesperson will try just one tactic and then they move on to the next opportunity or the next follow-up task, or they get distracted, right? And the key is really hitting them like 1, 2, 3, bam, right? Like do the phone call, They don't answer, send the text message. They're more likely to answer that text message because they were looking at their phone when you called them. So even if they don't answer the phone, they're like, oh, that was Ashley that just called me from, the Ford dealership I just inquired on. Let me respond to that text message or call them back. But you can't just like, well, let me call them or let me text them. I'll wait an hour and I'll try the next tactic. Like, you really have to hit them. And, to your question, Andrew, too, like, where is AI falling into that? It's the key is engagement. That's ultimately, what AI is really helping. What I've seen, increases on is engagement and opportunities in these leads. And so when that salesperson is now getting in front of that lead, they have some type of idea of what's going on with that customer, and they can follow up, or they should follow up exactly where they left off with the AI conversation. And then where you differentiate it is, like Kniff mentioned, with the video, right? If everybody's so accustomed to what's going on virtually, well, how do I set myself apart? Send a video. Like, even if it's just yourself really quick, getting a face of the name, and then you go out and you do your walk around later, but get a video out to that customer as soon as possible.
Yeah, the phrase we like to use was mastering the digital handshake, right? So if you can't get them on the phone, you got to find some other way to engage them. And definitely video is a phenomenal way to do that. You're right. They're looking at their phone. There it is. And as long as it doesn't look like spam, like if you take a second to like, hey, it's Matthew from so-and-so dealership, like, boom, here's a video. Like, that gets people's attention. It really does.
It does. Yeah. And Google already proved that, you increase your appointment rates by 50% and engagement rates increase by 200% just because you send a video and it doesn't have to be beautiful. Trust me, we've seen some bad ones. They still work. But the idea is you took the time. The best ones are when they're out in the middle of a snowstorm and they're like, I'm really trying to sell you a car. Here's the vehicle.
Those are the best. Not everyone can look as good as Andrew all the time. It's not possible. So it's okay to not look your best.
I try hard. With people responding within the first minute, that takes a oiled operations, energized sales team right there. Have you guys come across any products that have really started to unlock that speed to responding? Like you said that you just talked with an AI company, and like I keep checking in on Mia and a couple other ones that are doing like the voice conversations and able to have like legit low latency conversations with prospects, with customers.
I think you got to. This doesn't require technology. I think you just got to pay attention, and you got to be keenly aware that when those leads come in, you're on it. And one of our clients recently, I told him, he was like, well, we were in training that day. I'm like, what's the backup plan? Because if you're not in training, you're doing something else. The manufacturer's got you pulled up, the company's having a meeting or something, but have a backup plan so that I liken it to the fact that when dealerships have a receptionist and they usually sit at the front desk of the store when they don't ever let that position be not stationed, right? In other words, there's always someone at the front door answering the phone, greeting customers. You would never let that happen, right? Same thing is you need a backup plan for your leads. Make sure that someone's watching it. And I think that right there fixes a lot of problems for dealers, just having a backup plan.
One of my showroom processes was we would call that a lifeguard. So like, who's a lifeguard on duty, right? Making sure that nobody's drowning. It's crazy. I remember snow days up in Minnesota, and everybody would just go out and work on the dealership. And it's like, hold on, somebody needs to stay and watch the leads. Let's do some shifts here, right? I love that everybody wants to be out there, but let's make sure that we're taking care of what's going on online as well.
Mm-hmm. I volunteer to sit inside.
That's the marketing director right there.
Yeah,
that's sure right. That it's happening.
Volunteering to sit inside and drink hot cocoa while everyone else is shoveling snow.
Yeah.
Can we talk about 20M4 for a second? So you guys help get 20M3 off the ground, and you were saying it's more data driven and kind of more of the spreadsheet side. And you're seeing a gap that you guys aren't really scratching into too much with that 20 group. So you got 20M4 launching, and what was the gap that you guys feel like you could fill?
I got to interrupt before you even do that. Like, help us unpack the secret naming code structure for the 20 groups. Is it just out of thin air? Is there a science to it? Does NIF just come to you in your sleep?
No, there's a little bit of NCM science to that. So the 20 stands for 20 group, M stands for marketing, and 4 stands for the 4th group. So.
Okay, I feel like I've seen that's like 20.51 XY9er, like in some of these 20 groups. But anyway, thank you for that. Please continue. I'll be quiet.
No, I'm glad you asked, because that's always like a fun like mystery question too, right? Like, where do these names come from? 20M3, 20I9.
I mean, they sound like models of Audis or Infinities.
Or like firecrackers you can buy at south of the border in South Carolina. I don't.
Yeah, we get to M80, we'll have a party.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's when you guys can retire.
Yeah.
So
M3 versus M4.
So
being filled is content. It's creative. It's old school marketing.
Well, and the other piece of it is it's also it's all industries that NCM supports. So 20M3 is strictly automotive, but NCM, we also have our ARC division, which we acquired Spader. So we have RV, power sports, Harley Davidson. And so we want to open up 20M4 to all of the clients, because there may be something that somebody's doing in RVs or Harley or, some other industry that we support. We want to get everybody together in a room and let's collaborate. Let's talk through the struggles or questions that we have and just go through creative reviews together, what's going on. So it is a little bit, I don't know if I'd say like old school marketing, but it's a different type of marketing, right? We're not just focused on the analytics and the lead data. We're looking at AI enhanced marketing, brand, content, creative, campaign, SEO, GEO, REO.
Bringing REO out.
There was a little bit of, when we started 20M3, there's been a little bit of that discussion of, there are some members that are really focused on that higher level kind of planning and strategy. And they wanted to talk about that a little bit as well. So that's kind of where this came from. And how do we fill in that gap? So we're looking at, like I mentioned earlier, who are your CMOs, your VPs of marketing, creative directors, content leads. If you have an internal agency, this would be a great group for you.
And it sounds like it's going to be across the board, not just auto specific, but it's marine, power sports, RVs, heavy equipment.
Yeah.
Is that
is
that typical?
My experience.
That Sorry.
What's that?
Is that typical that you would have those industries kind of cross-pollinating with one another, or is this a new experiment?
It's a new experiment. I don't know of the other 20 groups right now. I think right now they're separate operationally, but digitally we don't have any cross-pollination, if you would.
Yeah, this is probably the first time we've actually started a group with the focus of cross-pollination, if you will, with the ARC, what we call the ARC business in RVs, marine, and power sports, and Harley Davidson. They really do bring a new sense of understanding to this, and it's very mutually benefiting for them too, because they tap into some of the best minds in automotive marketing within NCM, and then we garner new ideas and processes and so forth. But it's going to be good. I mean, I'm pretty excited about the fact that we're not going to be quote unquote strictly automotive. I think it's really going to help us, because I will say this: one of the things that the marketing directors in these groups like to do is to go outside the industry to garner new ideas. So, and that's smart, right? Some industries do it way better than we do.
Yeah, it is good to have, like, in my experience, like just being parts of 20 groups and being in like an entrepreneur's organization. It's like, you think you want to be in a hermetically sealed, homogenous group of people who are just like you, who have the same size business and the same struggles, and they lose sleep over the same stuff. But when you have like somebody from completely different industries that have a lot of the same characteristics, where you need to have that salesperson, you need to have that lead generation, you need to stand out on social, you need to arrive in AI, search queries, to have somebody with like a different perspective, a different background, have a lens into you and your business, can like put spotlights on stuff that, somebody who's just has the same puzzle piece wouldn't see.
Yeah, fresh eyes are key. Like during my time at Trade Pending, one of my favorite exercises we did was we would say, all right, what would liquid death do? WWLD. And we would never actually go to the extremes that they would. And then we would like dial it back a few notches. But like that was always the thought exercise. Like, all right, let's look at B2C and the craziest example we have there to try to pull something new and different and exciting forward.
Yeah, I think too, one thing that we've got to do as automotive marketers or NCMers and 20 group members is realizing too that there's other industries and other markets we can serve. One of the ideas that actually got served up to me recently was a B2B business model for 20 groups, which the vendor 20 group sort of operates in that premise. But imagine a 20 group that did, marketing directors who were selling to businesses within the automotive landscape. That could be another sort of area of opportunity. And look, I think the important thing to keep in mind with our 20 groups is this, is the agenda, which is established by the executive committee, and I serve, and Ashley serves as well, at the will of the 20 group, right? But the idea here is that they come together 3 times a year to talk, to build on their relationships, to share ideas. And that's the important part, is to get them talking to each other, to share ideas. And the attrition rate for our 20 groups is really low. And I think it's because of the relationships that are formed, the bonds that are had, the communications they have in between the meetings. And they really lean into that, into that for ideas. Like, hey, I'm experiencing this. Hey, I'm using this vendor. What do you think? Is there any other vendors in this space? So it's the idea of just not to be siloed, but to expand the horizons. Go, wow, I had no idea. And they take that street cred and they use it to leverage it for their own partnerships.
Yeah, and it's just it's good to have like an opportunity to push away from the dealership too, and just go off campus for a minute and hear what people are doing that's neat. And every dealership that we work with, so like Dealer OMG is my company that's just focused on social. So many dealers are starved for coming up with the good content too. And we can help by giving them a script that has a hook and a story of why come right now. And the call to action is to tap below right now and shoot it vertically. And here's the spaces where you don't want to have any text or creative. But they are so interested in getting it and getting that maestro inside the store that can make it happen. Like, do you guys have any feel for how dealers can help find that person? Like, a lot of times it could be the marketing director, probably usually is, but I've seen some too where you get somebody that's in the finance department that's 24 years old but gets the social side of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's finding that, I like to call them brand ambassadors, right? Like somebody who's at the dealership that feels passionate about it. You have a Jeep dealership and somebody, you just find those people that are already doing some of that, and then you help elevate them by giving them a little bit of structure. And they're not afraid to kind of hop in and try something new.
Mm-hmm.
And so this could be that content creator at the dealership, or it could be the marketing director, or both. That would be joining 20M4.
20M4. Yeah, exactly. Like part of, and like Kniff mentioned, we serve the group. So they built the agenda. We were both executive committee members, and we were part of building those agendas and working with our moderator on, what that looked like. But part of that agenda is going to have some live creative review, right? Bring your ideas, bring it. Let's have that, round table of, does this work? I've been fortunate to have some really good agencies that when I've had a brand idea, we've, put it to play and we do a study on it, right? But before you kind of get there, can you bring this idea to the group and see what they think, or maybe they've done it and they can tell you like, dude, don't do that because that crashed and failed so terribly.
I would be so afraid to do that. People just like, that idea is terrible. What are you doing? Like,
yeah,
probably why I need
even get into this group.
I think that's the other.
You want to have that conversation and have it be no judgment, right? Like, I have this crazy idea. Tell me if it's too left field, or maybe I'm comfortable, pushing it. Like you said, think like Liquid Death, right? Like maybe that is my brand and I can push that a little bit.
And I think it's important too to realize that out of 20 groups comes real accountability and ROI for the dealer when they're sending someone to the group meetings. And one thing that we really are high encouragers of is, for example, in these upcoming meetings, we're doing these AI workshops with Reunion Marketing. And then the next meeting, they have to come back and they have to implement their best idea from what they learned on the AI. And whether they did it, and they have to do it without a vendor. But the idea here is that you're taking an idea and actually trying to do something with it. And then you come back and then your peers will vote for who had the best idea. So I'm looking forward to that next meeting from the Savannah group now to their next meeting where we're saying, okay, what'd you learn? What'd you implement? And can you measure an ROI from that? So that makes it really practical. And I think people are starting to realize that our 20 groups are about working and collaborating and not about golf. Not that that's bad, but we don't get to play golf. We just get to go and rack our brains for 2.5 days and we go home tired.
So good.
Yeah.
But it is good, Andrew, like you mentioned, like get them out of the dealership, right? I think that's the best thing is like get them away from the day-to-day distraction and we'll just let your mind kind of focus on.
And just, being able to beat ideas around with other people. I heard there's a great startup quote that's like, there's no facts inside the building, only assumptions. And you only figure out what the facts are when you leave the four walls of where you work and go out and put it out there and hear the feedback.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah. And you just get to take out your ponytail and have a beer with people that are doing what you're doing. And that's where, like, I imagine a lot of the, creative conversations really start flowing.
Yeah. Andrew, do you have a secret ponytail we didn't know about?
I just try to think about what people do when they're not in the trenches working. I think they relax. I don't know what that version is.
The pony, something with a ponytail.
Yeah, you let your hair down.
So shifting gears a little bit. Oh, go ahead. You got it, Andrew.
Okay, Ashley, can we talk about WOCAN for a minute?
Sure.
What is it? What do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that was another kind of pivot in, where my career was headed is I've been involved in the industry from this community standpoint of WOCAN, Women of Color Automotive Network, which is a nonprofit founded in 2020 by 4 amazing women. Y'all all know Carrie Wise, CMO of Lot Links, Amanda Gordon, who is the CEO, owner of Gojo Auto, first Black woman car dealer in Colorado. And then Erica Tiffany Wells, if y'all know Erica from GM at Walzer Hyundai. And then Patrice Banks, who founded Girls Auto Clinic. It's based out of Philadelphia. Patrice was she worked at DuPont as an engineer and decided she wanted to stop, listening to her technician, really understand what's going on, became a technician herself, and now has a shop that has all female techs and has a nail salon in it and has been, featured all over the globe, which is these 4 amazing women founded this nonprofit to serve women in the industry. And I was recently promoted to president of WOCAN. So I've been working with them since 2020. Super excited. We have over 1,200 members through all facets of the industry, from retail to OEM to vendor partner, banks. And we just try to give back to this community where women of color are 6% of the industry, right? And so how do we recruit, retain, promote more women of color? How can we serve them? It's really tough to get out of your day-to-day sometimes, depending on the role that you're in. You're maybe not always able to make it to conferences. So we offer a leadership academy for 6 months at no cost to our members. That's kicking off next month. We have an awesome speaker series where different leaders come across to speak to our group. People like Janelle Ross and Subi Ghosh and a number of amazing women who have come and just try to connect women and our allies as well, and build a community to help. Just when you look at, who's your customer, right? Who is our customer in the dealership? And are we seeing more of ourselves when we're walking into the dealership? And how can we help women feel like they have a place? I have been many times the only woman in the room, the only person of color in the room. And so sometimes it can feel a little isolating, right? So trying to build that community for them.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And I saw Patrice speak at a SodoCon 2 years ago. Blew my mind what she's doing there and then training techs and building programs all around. It's so cool. Andrew, over to you.
There's a nail salon in there for the customers who are getting their cars serviced.
Yeah, while they're getting their car serviced, they can get their nails done. And she does workshops as well. So she invites women to her workshops to learn about their car. How do you check your tire pressure? How do you know when the oil is bad? It's really cool.
Okay, can you touch on the Leadership Academy real quick?
Yeah, so we have partnered with Solera and Jean over at Solera, who's amazing, inspirational. Jean has had a leadership training within Solera and their parent company, and they have brought that to WOCAN. As they're the sponsor for this academy. Today is actually, which I know this will probably air after 12/22, but today is the last day for our applicants, but we're going to kickstart that academy next month in January. We're going to have an NADA gathering as well. And it'll be once a month. We're going to have some homework for the ladies, but they are going to get the leadership training that the Solera leaders go through themselves.
That's cool, because it's just like, I feel like Otto's not alone on this, but if you continue to do a great job at the dealership, whether you're a salesperson or a marketing director, maybe you'll get promoted to more stores or you'll get promoted to general manager, which comes with a change of roles. Like maybe you were good at this one, but now you're managing people. And that's not an intuitive thing for most people.
A great salesperson does not always make a great manager. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what this is. It's learning a little bit about yourself and how you are, about, learning myself. What are my attributes? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And what are my goals? And where does that fit into that as well? Right. So maybe I am meant to be more of an independent contributor, maybe, depending on what that is. But it's a really great 6 months. The women walk away I've heard some amazing, life-changing stories. And then at NAMAD in Miami, we'll have our graduation. So the ladies will be able to come on stage at the WOCAN event and graduate. And you'll get a really awesome, like we did these for last year, but we had these stoles that we made.
Look at that. That's cool.
Yeah, a whole, we do a whole graduation ceremony. It's really special and it's really cool. And these ladies have made some, lifelong friendships out of it as well through the bonding that they've been able to do. And we have, I think, about 60 applicants for this class.
NCM needs to steal that stole idea. They need to steal the stole.
Yeah.
Graduate your 20 group and get the stole.
Copyright.
Right. Anyway. So as we we're like rolling right into 2026. Do you have like a marketing prediction for 2026, Kniff?
I think it's going to be a good year, honestly. And I'll tell you why. I think dealers are starting to realize that, number one, there are no silver bullets. Two, they need to embrace change. And third, I think they need to realize that as we affectionately say all the time, is that for every pound of technology they put in the dealership, they need 10 pounds of process.
Amen.
And that requires training. And I can't tell you the number of vendors who have called me and said, Kniff, we have great software and we're putting it in dealerships where the process is not good. And it's not our product that's failing. It's the dealership's process that is failing. And that's what we're here to do. I think we've hit the culmination of the ability to help dealers with their processes to ensure success at a point where it's most needed. And AI doesn't fix that. It's just holding people accountable, showing them the ropes, giving them direction. And let's face it, we got a lot of people coming into the business that are not part of automotive ever, and they don't know. So we have to do two things. We have to teach them the job, and then we have to teach them about the business, because it is automotive. It's not clothing and apparel or shoes or RVs. It's just, it's automotive. We got to learn that business. But I'm very up on what's going to happen in 2026.
Ashley, what's your 2026 marketing prediction?
I'm very optimistic overall. I think the resilience that we've all, been able to get through to make it to today. Like, you look at the past few years and the ups and downs of it all, and we're in a good place. I mean, our tech stack is heavy, right? We have 20 to 30 different platforms, depending on what your dealership is doing that you're in. But I think the what we're seeing come together is, it's not so much of like, I'm in these different tabs, as we're now trying to figure out, like, how do we get everything to talk together? And that has been an exciting part of what we've had as a pain point over all these years, is having to have a different platform for a different thing. And now we're actually asking the question, do you integrate with this? Right? And does it talk to this? Because we want to see that cycle come together. We want to make it easier for our teams and for our customers. And so I think that's the exciting thing for 2026 and for marketing is seeing what's going to evolve from that as we get deeper into, the CDP-esque world of, more. And I'm sure, Andrew, you're starting to see and hear a lot of this, but more personalized marketing, right? Like, how are we strategizing on personalized marketing to our customers? And then how are we correcting our processes as well? Because a great tech stack doesn't mean you're going to have a great process when that lead comes in. And I think people are asking the right questions right now, and they're wanting to get better in that way.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for 2026 marketing trends, I think people are going to see the value of sign spinners again. People twirling the sign by the side of the road. That's the cheapest footprint you can make. But seriously, Ashley, like, I think one thing that's hopefully, and I feel like there's momentum, and it's what you two are leading the charge on with the new 20 group, and that's dealers really taking, putting some energy into getting that content created at the dealership that feels like social media, or that feels fun, that feels, just people shooting constantly, where they're getting that content and getting to publish it and getting it out there, versus getting OEM videos of somebody driving a truck through a desert when you're selling trucks in the middle of Houston. Like, to have that piece at the dealership with the, the service director who's been there for 25 years, and getting the personalities, the birthdays, the, what people do on their breaks, and all the things that, are tangible that people don't see at a dealership, and they don't see it with, inventory ads. I feel like you guys are helping to lead the charge on that more than anybody.
I'm a big fan of that too, and that approach. And marketing is not just a lead factory. It's not just your IT support. There's so much more to it. And the fact that you guys are steering that ship and pointing people that direction now.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Well, I think you got to you can't just make your marketing spend efficient. You got to make your operations efficient, because you can spend the same amount of money and increase your closing rates by 3 or 4 percentage points and make a huge impact on your bottom line, right? We call it the 1% rule. It's like, take every metric you have and increase it by 1% and watch what happens to the net profitability of the store. Most of that comes through process improvement. Yeah, you can go ahead and slash budgets or cut dealers or, vendors, and sometimes I get it. It's needed. And sometimes it's just, that's the way some people like to do business. Like, I'm going to cut you, and then 90 days later they're back. I don't know. I think process improvement is harder, but it's more effective. And, that's the charge we're leading, is process improvement across the organizations that we serve.
Yeah, you gotta start with great people, then you got to have really, really great process. And then if you can bring on some great technology, some great product there, that's the formula.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the ad spend, we have another term called driving sheep over a cliff, is you spend all this money on marketing and then all of a sudden you drive it into a bad process and the dealer loses their mind because they're like, oh my gosh, I just spent $7 million on marketing and this is what I get in return for that. And it's bringing that awareness to the fact that we have to go through this process improvement. So
those poor sheep.
Yeah. Poor sheep. Yeah. As Melashenko used to say, he's like, you either get better people or get your people better.
It's not an easy industry. It's not an easy thing to do, is to run a dealership and get all the facets and maintain profitability and
Come on.
women vendors. It can't be easy.
Fix the coffee machine, do all the things.
If there's somebody out there like that's a leader at a dealership or a dealership group, whether it's marine or auto, and they're trying to think if NCM is a good fit to join one of these 20 groups, what kind of questions should they be asking themselves and their team?
Well, are you getting everything you can from your vendor partners, and who can you collaborate with? I mean, collaboration is the best way of getting things done. Collaboration is always clunky in the beginning, but man, it gets so much better in the long run. And I'd say hit us up on LinkedIn. Be more than happy to answer some questions. We even have a survey that we use to help them, and it takes like 12 minutes to figure out like what kind of group you want to be in. But whether it's in a 20 group or it's in the NCM Institute, or if we're coming to your dealership, there's a way to get involved. And I'd say these digital groups that we have, I am so proud of them and the people that are in them that really make the magic come alive. And it's getting tough to get into these groups because they're full. I mean, I have very few openings in these groups, but that's what's exciting. So it's good when the groups are full.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good investment too, even if it's not the dealer, to like send a marketing director and just let them know that you're committed to their career and their growth.
Mm-hmm.
I love this kind of stuff. Well, guys, so NCM on LinkedIn, keep an eye on WOCAN for new opportunities to get into the Leadership Academy. Well, Ashley Cavazos and Shaun Kniffin, people can find you on LinkedIn, I imagine.
Yeah.
A way to get plugged in with you guys.
Absolutely.
Definitely the easiest.
I am complimented to finally get you on. I've talked to Shaun, to Kniff before, but Ashley, you've been at the top of my spreadsheet of people I want to have.
Yay, we did it.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, please subscribe to the show. It helps us get out to more people like you. And if you know somebody, or you're somebody that's a sharp marketer in automotive, please reach out to us. We'd love to feature you on the show. Reach out to Ashley at dealeromg.com.